Good morning and afternoon, everyone. Thank you for attending today's 30-minute webinar titled, Why Does 1040SCANverify Popularity Continue to Trend Up? This is Greg Pope with SurePrep. We have a lot to get to in 30 minutes, so I'm going to quickly get the housekeeping items out of the way, and then I'll hand it over to Pete Mealy, SurePrep's Vice President of Sales, for the presentation. And then following Pete's presentation, we're going to speak with a couple of SurePrep customers that use 1040SCANverify. In terms of housekeeping, this is a listen-only webinar, which just means that all attendees are muted. We can't hear you, but we do encourage questions. So if you have questions, please type them into the questions box in the GoToWebinar control panel. You should see what that looks like on screen. There's a little screenshot. We'll answer as many questions as we can get to during the presentation. Myself and someone else will be answering questions during Pete's presentation. If there are some that are for the panelists, we'll wait to get to those questions towards the end. If for some reason we can't get to your question on today's call, we will follow up with you. So one way or another, all questions will be answered. Second item, if after today's webinar you'd like to learn more about 1040SCANverify or anything else that SurePrep offers, visit the SurePrep.com and click on the Talk to Sales button on the website, fill out that form, and someone will follow up with you. And the last housekeeping item, this session is being recorded. So by tomorrow, hopefully no later than the end of the day tomorrow, we will send out a follow-up email that will include a link to the recording. So feel free to view the recording if you want to, or forward that to anyone in your office that you think might be interested in viewing the recorded session. With that, let me introduce again Pete Mealy. Many people on the phone probably already know Pete. Pete's SurePrep's Vice President of Sales. So Pete, please take us through the agenda and the demonstration.
Thank you, Greg. And thank you, everybody, for joining us today. I'm really excited about our conversation that we'll have. We're joined by two current clients, and I think having them communicate with everyone on today's presentation about their experience with 1040SCANverify and how that helped them with tax season should be ideal for everyone listening in today in terms of ideas that they can take forward, or in follow-up with SurePrep, some items that they might want to ask our team about. So today's agenda, what we're going to do, I'll do a brief introduction of our panel. After we wrap up an introduction, we're going to discuss those issues that are impacting firms across the country. We'll go into what is 1040SCANverify. So there are many scan-and-populate solutions. SurePrep offers 1040Scan Pro. We offer 1040SCANverify. What is 1040SCANverify and what value add can it provide to your firm? According to the title of our presentation, why is it that 1040SCANverify is increasing in popularity? Why are we trending upwards with the number of firms and the number of returns being processed on an annual basis? Most important part of today's webcast is going to be a roundtable with two firms. And then, as Greg indicated, we're going to open up the floor for questions from our audience, get input from both myself and Greg, as well as our panelists. So here we are 2 weeks removed from the October 15th deadline, and we're having a webinar and we're focusing on next tax season. For many firms, planning has started a long time back, and for all firms, ensuring that the firm is properly staffed for tax season can be a challenge. So as we think back through tax year 2017, what are some of the struggles that your firm encountered? Today, most firms on the webinar would agree that you have clients that no matter how many times you reminded them to get you information in advance, year after year, they get you these documents at the last moment. Your firm may also have some last-minute staffing changes, and that ultimately increases the workload for the rest of your team. So regardless of the firm size, every year there's some common bottlenecks and pain points that firms encounter. So the question to all of our attendees today is, how will your firm be better prepared for those situations? How can your firm maximize preparation and review efficiency? And do you have a plan in place for standardizing your processes? So, as I indicated earlier, and I apologize for that pop-up coming up, as I indicated earlier, two firms today with us. Today we have Ray Abramson of Abramson and Company. The firm was founded in 1993. They have between 5 and 9 professionals located in Connecticut, and Ray and his team are big believers that maintaining state-of-the-art technology and educating their clients about the benefits of such technologies is important in running small businesses today. So Ray, I'd like to say welcome to you.
Hi, Peter. Sorry about that. Had to unmute myself.
Not a problem.
Looking forward to talking about SurePrep and how it's helped us.
Well, we're certainly looking forward to that, and I'm confident that the audience is going to get a lot of value-added information from that conversation that we'll have.
Good.
In addition to Ray, we also have Mary Pierce of Pierce & Company. Pierce & Company is located in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and they've been servicing that area for over 40 years. Pierce & Company is actually a new client of SurePrep's. Tax year 2017 was the first year in which they processed returns. So what we're going to get today is some input from a firm that has just rolled out SurePrep's solutions and services, along with Ray and his team that have used SurePrep and our services for multiple years. So if Mary's on the line, I'd say hello to you too, Mary. I know Mary was having some technical issues joining.
Yeah,
Greg.
I was just going to say that it doesn't look like she's joined yet.
Okay, so we will continue on. I know she's having some technical issues with getting up and running, but we'll make sure that she's part of this discussion as we get to the round table. So what are some of the challenges that face firms each and every year? A recent survey illustrated that workload compression impacts the firm and your employees to a large degree. How do you staff for the peak of tax season and keep those employees busy throughout the remainder of the year? How do you staff with the appropriate talent at the manager level and above and ensure that we're giving them quality work that they enjoy doing? Another item, many vendors across the country, including SurePrep, we have Scan-and-populate technologies, and firms often utilize these Scan-and-populate technologies and don't meet or exceed the expectation that was set. So why is that the case? SurePrep, we provide Scan-and-populate for 1040s and 1041s. We also understand that there is an inherent imperfect nature to optical character recognition. There's a need to do data validation with these products before the tax return is populated. And if that data validation is not done properly, the efficiency gains that you're looking for may be lost. One of the reasons why 1040SCANverify exists today is for those firms that did not have the staff to do the verification on their own, or did not want to have to annually train users to complete that data verification. What we hear from a lot of prospective SurePrep clients that come to us that utilize a competitor's tool today is that they are aware that that competitor's tool has data verification processes available in the application itself. But their preparers or their administrative staff aren't trained to do it, nor do they take the concentration and time to do it properly. What ultimately happens is you would populate a tax software with errors, and then it would take more time for your preparer to find those errors and change them. The other items here that firms want to concentrate on too is How do I grow my practice? How can I take my practice from what it is today to a larger, more profitable practice? So let's dive into 1040SCANverify. We do believe 1040SCANverify is a method or an avenue that your firm can take to, number one, reduce workload compression during tax season. Number two, grow your firm. Firms will often report with 1040SCANverify they'll gain upwards of 15% in increases to their realization rates. 1040SCANverify is that scan and populate solution for your 1040s and 1041s with SurePrep completing the data verification for you. On average, these returns are back to you in 16 hours. The expectation should be that it takes one business day to complete the data verification and get it back to you. That time frame is probably quicker than your own returns that come in your office. You put the folder on a shelf, and it may sit there for 2, 3, 4 days. What we want to do with 1040SCANverify as a vendor is allow your preparers to focus on value-added tasks in preparing returns. Allow your preparer to become the reviewer for the standard data input and focus then on value-added services, value add to that client, tax strategies that can be implemented to save on the taxes due. When we look at what is covered by the 1040SCANverify service in terms of document coverage, on average 75% of the typical 1040 will be data entered by the 1040SCANverify service level. Common documents that we would talk about here is your W-2s, 1098s, 1099 INTs, DIVs, the consolidated statements, page 1 of your K-1s. If we look at this detailed list that we also see up here, we'll notice that federal organizer pages are also included. SurePrep integrates with major tax softwares in the industry. That includes from CCH, ProSystem Tax, Access Tax, Global FX, from Thomson Reuters, UltraTax, GoSystem RS, and from Intuit, Lacert Tax. So if you have those organizer pages that are filled in, the 1040SCANverify service can in fact data populate data from that with SurePrep's team verifying that information for accuracy before the data export occurs. Now, when we look at information up on screen, what we'll also find with SurePrep's products is we can capture through optical character recognition more data than that of our competitors, even on a document which they may recognize. So, for example, if they recognize a 1099 consolidated, more likely than not, margin interest, foreign income are items that you would have to input manually. Where in here, with 1040SCAN, that information is being populated for you. So let's quickly go through a workflow. How does this work? And then we're going to get into conversation with our panelists. So documents coming in the door. Today, your firm might receive them via PDF from your clients, or potentially you're provided with the original source documents. We simply ask you to scan at 300 dots per inch, black and white. There does not need to be a particular organization of the documents before scanning, with the following considerations. A multi-page document such as a brokerage statement should be scanned sequentially, page 1 through however many pages are in that particular document, and K1 should be moved to the back of the pile. All other documents can be in any particular order. We have released, over the last year, a very exciting product, TaxCaddy, and if you haven't seen the TaxCaddy application, you may go to www.taxcaddy.com or contact SurePrep for more information. But TaxCaddy is a way to collect information from your taxpayers in an electronic manner without the need for them to stop by your office or without including the need for them to bring to email you documents. Also, and a big part of TaxCaddy is it eliminates the need for you to print and send out organizers to your clients. It facilitates messaging, e-signature, and delivery of the tax return. So whether or not you were scanning documents or receiving them through TaxCaddy, documents will come in. You're simply going to load them into the SurePrep system. And at that point, SurePrep's verifiers will take over. And what they're doing is they're comparing the values that were picked up by OCR against the input of those values themselves. If a value is wrong, we correct the value. If it's missing, we would add it. And if there's any extra data that's picked up, it would be removed. Many firms will indicate that they have concerns with Scan-and-populate because if the same document was scanned twice or if there's a corrected copy, they're uncertain whether or not that would be handled by that Scan-and-populate solution. Or 1098s don't always belong to Schedule A. Maybe it relates to a rental property. Learning more about SurePrep's products, you'll come to find out that SurePrep has, within our review wizards, the capabilities to handle those situations and ensure it's populated into the proper screens for the tax software. And lastly, SurePrep provides an electronic binder, SP binder, for your team to prepare and review the return. The binder supports PDF, Excel, and Word documents, so a common set of annotation tools can be utilized across each and every one of those document types. The SP binder is included in our 1040Scan Organize software, 1040Scan Pro, along with 1040SCANverify. Just this week, SurePrep released an update or an enhancement where we can auto-verify native PDFs without the use of human verification and deliver 100% data accuracy. Native PDFs are documents downloaded directly from your client's financial institutions, like a 1099 downloaded from Wells Fargo or Bank of America or the Schwab website. SurePrep's new patent-pending technology compares that traditional optical character recognition of data capture to the native PDF text layer, and when the OCR value and the native PDF text layer value matches, the document is automatically verified with 100% accuracy. So what would this mean in the context of our 1040SCANverify conversation? Without the need for human verification, the cost of the 1040SCANverify return will be reduced for the CPA firm. In addition, you will have more confidence that the data going into the tax return is 100% accurate. In addition, for those firms that are leveraging the use of TaxCaddy, we noticed TaxCaddy users, 64% of the documents that were submitted through TaxCaddy this last tax season were in fact native PDFs. So we're going to move to the discussion with our panelists now. Is Mary with us yet today? Greg, I would ask that question.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, Mary, welcome. Sorry that you were having some challenges joining, but thank you for your time and thank you for joining.
No problem.
We'll put you right on the spot, being that you're new to the line. So, Mary, you're a new client of SurePrep's this tax season. Most of the time, and you're a RootWorks member, I would say both parties on the line today are both members of the RootWorks organization, doing great things with leveraging not only technologies, but processes within firms to drive better realization rates and ultimately grow firms. RootWorks firms typically start with 1040Scan Organize as the solution when they come to SurePrep, but you broke that mold. Can you take us through what your evaluation process looked like and why you went with 1040SCANverify and Scan-and-populate versus our Scan-and-organize solution?
Sure. One of the main reasons that I went with Scan-verify was I talked to another RootWorks member who had no choice but to do Scan-and-verify because her preparer left her at the last second and she needed to get her tax returns done. But as she told me about how well it worked, I became more convinced that that would do really well for us too. And we felt like, based on what was going on in our firm, we were having more of a problem on the front end. And Scan and Verify seemed like a very good solution for us to help with that.
And when you mentioned problems on the front end, this is in your scanning process. You were taking a lot of time scanning documents or organizing documents?
Yes, we used to just scan them and put them in our file cabinet. We use Thompson's software. And I thought I had been super clear about how to assemble it in the right order. I thought everybody understood. They thought they understood, but very often the documents weren't in the right order. So it made it hard for the preparer to actually prepare and make sure they got everything. It made it difficult for me to review, and it caused me to be pushing things back and forth, or all of us just getting frustrated with each other. And so as a result, I had people sitting on returns and not sending them off because they were afraid they'd do it wrong. And that was not a good solution. So
that never sounds like a good solution. So you certainly found some standardization was a value add to the organization. The standardization and how those documents were organized by the SurePrep software.
Oh, yes. It is so nice. I love it when I see that it's a SurePrep return.
Would you be able to quantify in any way, coming out of your first year of using SurePrep, how much time savings might have been recognized by the firm in the whole process? So from the time it took you originally to scan and sort documents through data input and maybe even review, do you have any statistics on a return that was prepared through the 1040 ScanVerify versus your prior method?
I don't have statistics right in front of me, but I can tell you from my experience and the frustrations that I was hearing from clients, it was down significantly, where before, because we had issues with returns sitting on the shelf for way longer than we wanted to, then we were rushing through it. We might have made mistakes, and we were still disappointing the client because it was later than they thought it should be. We definitely, just from the volume of the phone calls of where's my return, that probably went down by at least half because we were moving things through the system better and had a better system.
That sounds great. And Ray, I'm going to turn it over to you. Your firm utilized 1040 Scan Organize originally and moved to a combination of Organize and Verify. Can you take us through why is it that your firm uses a combination of both, and what are some of the value adds that you see in utilizing SurePrep solutions?
Certainly. We found that I'd like to think that all of our clients are very complex, but the reality is for a tax return that's really complex with 20 K1, they might have tag-along type of returns, the children. So, and yet the children may have 1099s because they've done gifting. So, but they're fairly straightforward. So you're talking about one 1099, maybe a W-2. So it makes sense to still use Organize, but not necessarily the Verify. Verify is really for what we view as for our really complex our client returns, and we use it on about 30 to 30, I'd say a third of our clients that we process through SurePrep.
Do you find then that most of your efficiency gains are at that preparer level because you're eliminating a significant amount of data entry that a person would have had to do previously at your firm?
Without a doubt. Tax season is compressed. We all know that. We don't get our information until mid-March if we're lucky, and then it just comes in a giant flood. So you can't staff for 3 or 4 weeks. You have to do alternatives, and then it's one of those things that we're seeing across the board. It's not just our profession, but it's other professions as well, legal, and where artificial intelligence is helping us. It's taking away the less skill-based part of our system, the input. And I heard a quote, and I'll borrow that quote. And we're trying not to get paid on input any longer. We're trying to get paid on outcome. So spending less time on inputting, having our staff review, which makes the final review for the manager or partner much easier and faster. We don't have to go back and verify every single aspect of the return. We can concentrate on the big picture.
Using 1040 ScanVerify, then, do you find that the data input of the government documents is more accurate than if you had your team manually input the information from source documents?
Without a doubt, we're humans, and I won't say that ScanVerify is perfect. I'd say that it does a solid A to A plus job. In other words, it does 97 to 98%, which is pretty darn good. Even the verification of the humans, we aim for perfection, and sometimes one little thing slips through. So, but overall, it's just making the whole process go so much faster. Our bigger clients where there's 30 or 40 K1s, which are all complicated, it does a fabulous job on that. And I can look at a K1 that's all annotated and know that my staff person has reviewed that as well, coming in from SurePrep. And I don't have to spend time on that. I just have to worry about the state version. So where there's state issues.
Got it. Now I'll go back to Mary. Mary, year one of your SurePrep implementation here, what would be some of if we had firms that were listening in today, what would some of your suggestions be for their implementation and their training process? Is there anything that you would recommend or stress to them?
Oh, definitely. For one thing, take the time to really learn it. I know everybody says that, but I was partners in another firm 2 years ago, and we tried SurePrep. Well, we pretended to try SurePrep, but we didn't take the time to train, and we didn't know what we were doing, and therefore declared it a failure. And it was all because we didn't know what we were doing. So we took the time to do all the training that was suggested, and that really paid off very well. And still, we didn't do everything we want to. I want to dive more this year into all of the collaborative and annotative tools that we can use. The second thing would be, if you're concerned about the cost, you can affect what it costs you by separating your documents into OCR and non-OCR and having your staff add things to the binder after it goes through SurePrep's process. We did that because cost was a factor for us, and it kept us very affordable. From what we heard, we were one of the most efficient as far as the cost per return firms this year. So we felt pretty good about that. And I guess the last thing would be to make sure you've got the buy-in from your preparers. I was ready to say, look, I made this investment and you have to do it, but I didn't need to, because when we did the training, they started going, oh, this is going to be cool. Oh my gosh, you're not going to be asking me how I got this number because I'm going to be able to show it to you. And I got the buy-in, but you definitely want to make sure you want to do that.
I think we're making, tremendous points as to how firms can get value add in their taxes. I'm going to ask one more question over to Ray, and it's going to relate to that training too. Is there any internal training that you do for your staff, or any feedback that you would provide to firms that might implement SurePrep with respect to training and the rollout?
I'm going to ditto what Mary said. You have to spend the time. This is I can't remember what it was actually like to do all the original training, because it was 6 years ago. It's changed, and we keep up to date on that. But we made sure everyone spent the time necessary to go through all the training programs. We worked together. We did questions on it, and we still do. And we find that the Help Center and the online chat is really helpful. but there's no shortcut to the investment you have to make to understand the system. But I just want to throw out there, I can't imagine a tax season without using SurePrep. So.
Me either.
Pete.
Yes.
The 30 minutes just flew by, but we are out of time. I want to make sure that we're respectful of everybody's time since we'd only scheduled this for 30 minutes. Any last minute comments before I kind of wrap it up?
I would certainly like to thank both Mary and Ray for joining today, and I think some of the comments that they were able to add to the discussion are very valuable for those on the phone. And our team would certainly like to expand on any additional questions that people had that weren't able to be answered today. So I would just like to thank attendees, and especially Ray and Mary, for their time. And we certainly look forward to working with both your firms and making you more successful. As we work with firms, we consider that we partner with all of our clients. We don't consider ourselves just to be a vendor and providing the solution, but partnering with our clients, and we'd like to do that with additional clients. So thank you, everybody, for your time. I'll turn it back to you, Greg, and we can wrap it up.
Okay. As I mentioned earlier, if you'd like to learn more about anything that we've talked about, you go to the SurePrep website, sureprep.com, click on the Talk to Sales button at the top and fill out that form, and somebody will follow up with you. We did have a lot of great questions. There were a few that we were not able to get to, so we will follow up with you if you asked a question that is still unanswered. There were a couple of questions about the auto verification from the native PDF functionality that was just released. So when we send the follow-up email that will include a link to the recording of this session, I'm going to include a link to a page and a video that describes that auto verification from the native PDFs functionality. You can expect that by the end of the day tomorrow. And once again, thank you, Mary. Thank you, Ray. We know your time is very valuable, so thank you for spending some of it with us today. Thank you to all of today's attendees. We hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
A pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks.